Hi there. I'm Katie Soule. I am the Early Learning Center Director at the Strafford County YMCA, and I'm also a member of the Dover Mental Health Alliance. And this video is a part of our Mental Health Awareness Month video series. And I'm here with Megg Thompson.
Hi. So yes, my name is Megg. I am a certified behavioral consultant and certified life coach working with children, adults, and families. So I go into schools, I go into homes, and I help adults help kids. I help kids help kids. I help kids be at their best and adults be at their best.
Awesome. Yeah, so we wanted to take a little time today to talk about, as throughout this month, we've been addressing different topics related to mental health. As we know, mental health is just as important as our physical health. And given that it's Mental Health Awareness Month, we wanted to kind of bring some awareness around this topic and also help to reduce the stigma to talk about it. And as parents, teachers, caregivers, we spend so much time tending to the needs of other people and the children in our care that we can easily get led down a path of sort of this compassion fatigue or caregiver fatigue. And there are some things that you can do to kind of mitigate that. So Megg and I kind of just wanted to chat about some of those things. So I feel like compassion fatigue, caregiver burnout, these things are sort of buzzwords that we hear about, and they're
bingo words, right, Katie?
Yeah, exactly. Bingo words.
So like if we were to make like a bingo sheet and we are going to write things that we hear all the time, and every time you hear them, you get to put your chip on, we would get bingo very quickly if we use compassion fatigue or caregiver fatigue or mental health or any of those. We would get a bingo very, very quickly because we say that a lot, but then I don't know how good we are at supporting this fatigue and really being loud for it, right? I don't know how good we are at that. We talk about it a lot, but it's another thing to do something about it.
Exactly. And I think that people hear these terms and just either dismiss it because it's like, we can only take so many of these our buzzword bingo cards are already full. Like, okay, great. There's another thing that I'm dealing with, add it to the list of things. But,
they're full at like 9 o'clock in the morning. The bingo cards are like, wow, we've heard all that. We've heard all of the things. Bullying is one on there that we hear a lot of. We hear a lot of these different words, but compassion and caregiver fatigue is for real because there are adults that come into school, and you see them, Katie, right? Come into school and start work at, 8 o'clock in the morning, but they feel like they've been through a whole day because they've had to get their own family nurtured and ready and out the door. Then they come to you and they nurture all day long. Then they leave work at 5:30, 6 o'clock and go home and nurture again. And I always say, then you go to sleep. That's not taking care of yourself. That's necessary because we're human and that has to happen. But then you wake up and do it all over again. And at what point do you take care of yourself?
Exactly. And I think also in that is this whole idea of this burnout and what does that even mean? I have to do these things. Like, it's not like we're trying to suggest that you would stop taking care of the people in your life or stop attending to your job, but how do we begin to recognize like, oh, maybe I am feeling a little bit burnt out. Maybe I am needing to tend to myself better. I think these are the things as caregivers that we so frequently will put on the back burner because we have so many other important things that are important, but we can put ourselves last. So I just wanted to share a couple of these things. As I was kind of thinking about this and looking up some things and some of the symptoms or signs that you might be experiencing this, which I don't want to scare anybody when I say these things because they're things I think a lot of us are experiencing. And I think especially in the last year, it's probably even more amplified, especially if you're in a caregiving profession or you're just a parent or somebody who's in relationship with anybody else that we can, get to these places. So some of these things, irritability, as you shared, Megg, that feeling of getting into work and feeling like you already worked a whole day before you get there. Are you, able to walk into the day with your best self? Maybe not if you're feeling that way.
Right, you really have to compartmentalize that piece to be like, okay, so my kids are off to school, but we had a bad morning. But these 4-year-olds I'm working with don't care about what happened in my hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning. They care that I'm fresh and new here. And that takes that's very hard to shift yourself and be like, okay, that goes here. my work goes here now. And that's really hard. We attract people in this field that are very nurturing and loving. But well, along with that temperament, and as Katie and I know, we do a lot of work in temperaments, that temperament also sees self-care as selfish and not necessary. So we get a lot of people that are like, right, I do a beach workshop, well, did right before COVID, did a beach workshop, and people would come all the way from like Portsmouth. And I'm like, guys, the beach is here all the time. I didn't make it just for the beach workshop, but they only come when they have to pay money and when they get professional development hours. They won't just say, you know what? I need a couple hours at the beach today on a Saturday, and I'm going to go and sit and read a book and take care of myself. People look at me like, what? Do people do that? And I was like, no, but you should. Right? So you get to the part where you're, right, irritable because you haven't maybe sat on the beach and read a book. You haven't gone for coffee with a friend. You haven't, right? And now we can only do limited things anyway, right? My beach workshop wasn't last summer. It's not going to be this summer. And people keep asking, are you going to do it? No. Because there's still so many things going on. I don't want people mad at masks, and nobody wants to wear a mask on the beach. I don't know if I have to mandate that. I don't know. So irritability is one thing because we see self-care of ourselves as selfish. When I say in my workshops, okay, everybody, if you're going to be the best caregiver ever, do you take care of yourself first or others first? And they'll, in synchronization, they'll go, others. And I'm like, no, it's yourself first. And they were like, and they like huff at me and gasp at me because they see it as selfish. So irritability is definitely one thing because they see it as selfish. What's another thing, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So another thing, there's a few of them, loss of interest in activities that you previously enjoyed. And I was thinking about this, that's sort of like a double whammy this year, because as you were just sharing, Meg, there's lots of things we can't do that we would normally be able to do to fill our cups. But so there's that side of it. And also just, not attending to those things that you enjoy doing and taking the time to experience joy in your life. And again, I think that's something that people think is selfish to do. And
right. And when you have caregiver fatigue, there's a reason it's called fatigue. It's because you're tired.
Yes.
So you're like, I used to have all this energy to go and, right, I used to play soccer. I used to play 2 nights a week. It used to be sometimes at 10 o'clock at night. Now I'm old and I'm like, soccer at 10 o'clock at night? No. Because then it's done at 11, I got to shower, and then I'm in bed like this, like, at like 12:30, and I can't go to sleep. But now I'm thinking at 10 o'clock, I'm like on the couch like this. Like I can't, right? Sometimes you're so tired because of that fatigue that you've taken care of people all day that you can't do the things you want to do because you're tired.
Yes.
You just want to lay on the couch or go to sleep, go to bed at 8.
Yes, I think by the time you get done tending to work, tending to your family and all those things, and you might have 90 precious minutes. And so often we are engaging in things like maybe watching TV, and which is sometimes joyful, but sometimes those things become habits where we're just sort of like on autopilot running through our day. And it's hard to challenge those things of like, am I finding joy in this? And is it quality time for myself, or am I just on the wheel of just continuing these things? Yeah. So yeah, that was another, and as you shared too, the exhaustion, that emotional and physical exhaustion, like when you wake up, even if you got a great night's sleep, you wake up after 8 hours and you are like, okay, how are we already have the alarm clock? And,
how do I already want to go back to sleep?
Yes, I'm starting this day with 4% energy. Let's go. We have 16
hours. Right.
Yeah.
And then like, and we also, I think when we try to go to sleep, a lot of us caregivers, I know Katie, you and I have talked about this before, that we lay in bed and we're like, we should go to sleep now. Then we look at the clock for like 6 hours. I could totally make it through 6 hours. People make it through 6 hours all the time. I get 6 hours of sleep. Oh, 4 hours of sleep. I'm still awake. We got 4 hours. And then at some point you get 2 hours sleep and you're like, I got to call in sick to work. What do I call in sick with? I couldn't go to sleep because my brain was moving too fast. Like, you can't call in sick with that. Right. So then you get like all flustered, and then I don't know how you wouldn't be irritable, tired, cranky. Right? All those things.
Right. And in all that you're talking about, that changing in sleep patterns. And also, if you're not getting enough sleep and you're not doing these things, there's a great likelihood that you're going to be your immune system is dipping and you're going to be getting sick more often. And so I think the kind of overarching thing with this caregiver and compassion fatigue is that you're not tending to yourself to the point that you're going to make yourself unusable to other people. You're not going to be able to take care of anybody else because you're going to end up getting sick. You're going to end up being so exhausted that you can't, the idea of getting up to make dinner just seems impossible. And so I guess the question is, what can people do? You know, the responsibilities.
Besides crossing our fingers, Katie. Like, I think a lot of people are like, I just hope it doesn't happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to do it. It's just, I'm going to push through. And I think a lot of people are just crossing their fingers.
Yes. Yeah. And
what else can we do besides that?
Yeah.
That's not working.
No. And even if it has worked, at some point it's going to give, and it's not.
Your fingers get tired, right? And then cross your toes. I always say, okay, I'll cross my fingers and my toes and my eyes and my heart. And I don't know, and it's not gonna, it only works for so long, right? Because it's not real. I mean, you've just been lucky. Maybe it hasn't happened. But now, I mean, with COVID, but now, like, my son had a cold the other day, and I was like, oh boy. And then he has to be out of school for 2 days. We have to go get COVID tests and strep tests and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm just crossing my fingers. Like, no, I hope it didn't happen. I don't want to get it now. I don't want to get it. So, like, right. So what do we do besides cross our fingers and our toes and our eyes and our heart? Right.
And this comes in the next buzzword bingo of the day. So this whole thing of self-care.
No, there it is. Blackout. Yes. I got blackout.
So, you know, self-care, it sounds like, oh, we're going to draw a bath with bubbles and listen to soft music with candles and be out of it. And I mean, I know I'm a fast moving person. I don't have time to sit and do all that. Like, that's.
When's the last time you took a bath?
No, long time, many years.
I was like 9 years old, I think. I think I had a migraine one time when I was in California at my brother's house, and I took a bath because I thought maybe that'd help.
It didn't.
I was like 20 something. So 20 years ago. I don't. Oh. Okay, so we have to go beyond baths. Although baths are fine if that's what you want.
If that's your thing. But
that's what comes up to me is like that cartoon of the bubbles, like all the way up here, and I have like a towel on my head and it smells good and I got wine on the side, and that has never been me ever.
Yeah.
Because you and I are too fast paced. We don't have a bath.
Yeah.
I hope it has wheels. I got stuff to do.
Yes. We get bathtub races. That might work for me.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, that's probably one.
Yes.
So write that down if anybody's taking notes.
Yes.
On this video.
Bathtub races.
Bathtub races might be one that would be appropriate self-care.
Yeah. So a way that I found so useful to think about self-care is this whole idea of this like wellness wheel, that there are different areas in our life that we can attend to increase our wellness, to care for ourselves, but in a way that makes sense for us. Because what makes sense for me that fills my cup is totally different than like my sister who might want to play video games. To me, that's never going to be self-care for me. To me, that's stressful. I have so many things, so
anxiety. I don't have a lot of anxiety, but like playing Pac-Man, I was like, why do they have to eat me? I only get so many health lives or buttons or beeps or I don't know. I'm stressed out just thinking about it right now.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, like sort of these different areas of wellness, and what they are, and maybe some things that people can do to attend to that.
Okay, you say there's 6 of them, right? You have 6?
Yes.
Katie and I have talked about the wellness wheel forever, right? We both have done trainings on it. We both go out into the community and try to tell people, like, everybody has a bucket. Your bucket doesn't have to be full. It has to be full for you. It doesn't have to be full for everybody, right? Every bucket has a different, and we'll talk about that as we go. So what's the first one, Katie?
So the one I think that people can recognize the easiest is your physical wellness. Yeah. So you have sort of, that could mean many things. That could be the food that you're eating, the amount of activity that you're getting, the amount of sleep that you're getting. So that's like the easiest, sort of most obvious area of wellness.
Chiropractor can be one, right?
Yeah.
Anything that like there's, and this is what I mean by different. So when I go by Planet Fitness, I wave at it. I pay $20 a month to belong to Planet Fitness. I haven't been in a really long time. I look at it and I say, I belong there. And I just keep driving. There are some people who get up at 5 a.m. That's the middle of the night for me. 5 a.m. and like goes to the gym, and they are fueled by that. So it's not wrong that I go by Planet Fitness. It's not wrong that they go to Planet Fitness. But if we had to switch, it's actually stressful for me to think I have to get up at 5 and go to the gym. It's stressful for that person to think, I can't go to the gym? So like, what is it in your physical bucket that maybe you used to do and you don't do anymore? How do you get there? And what is it for you? Like eating, right? I have to be, Katie and I have talked about it. We're trying both like gluten-free. I have to be gluten-free, egg-free, caffeine-free, and dairy-free. So I get to eat carrots and broccoli. That's about all that's left on the spectrum of food. So I have to do those 4 things, and that is in the physical bucket. It's also in the nutritional bucket. There's 2. But if I don't do those things and I have gluten, I will get a headache. So then I'm out. I can't take care of myself or others. I'm done.
Right.
Because my headache's so bad, and I have to push right here for like a day and a half, and then it hurts right there, and I feel awful. So what is it in your physical, right? I used to be a sprinter. My body is all done sprinting and running, and it just doesn't want to anymore. I take walks. I play on the beach. I go surfing. But I don't want to run anymore. I kicked that out of my bucket.
Yeah. And I think that's like such an important point is I think for me, like all through my life, I felt like that whole idea of like exercise and stuff wasn't for me. It was like, because you had to, it wasn't like to serve me, and like changing that mindset, which I think probably there's a lot of people out there like that, where it feels like it's a chore to do it. But, you know, for me, doing yoga in the morning or taking my dog for a walk after a long day of work, like, and the relaxation that you feel and the connectedness that you feel, just attending to that is important, but to do it in a way that makes sense for you, I think is such a critical piece. Yeah, so that's the sort of physical wellness part, which, you know, there's a lot of different things that go into that. And then we have the social wellness. So let's talk about that.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite, Katie. So with that one is hard now during Corona. So a lot of people, that one is kind of empty for people because they want to like me. It's getting nice out. I live right on the beach, and I want to go down to like the beach bars and like hang out with friends. And that's not really a thing we could do right now. But that fuels me. So what else right? Strangers are only friends I haven't met yet. So I want all the people around me all the time. Then you go to the social piece of my husband. He has one friend. I fortunately am the one friend, which is nice. But he doesn't need all these people around him. So again, we can't switch our buckets. So I enjoy people like, do you do home visits? Yes, I mask up, I stay 6 feet away, but I need to see people. I need to be with people. I am on, and I could see over the Corona, like, I think the people who are like me get really sucked into Facebook and Instagram and stuff, because we're trying to find our community, our village, because it used to be in person and now it's not, but we can't live without it.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. It's so easily overlooked. I would argue that even, you know, pre-pandemic, that the social wellness piece is the first piece that people will cut out. It's like, you know what, I have to work and I have to take care of the kids and I have to do all these things. I don't have time to have dinner with my friends. I don't have time to call my sister. I don't have time for those sorts of things. And so bringing those things, even if it's just for shortened periods of time, for me, I try to like maybe even connect a couple. So like taking a walk with my best friend. So I'm tending to a couple of those areas because, you know, we are busy people and I can't maybe do all of the things, but how can I fit them in little places? And so I think this pandemic has shown a lot of ingenuity of how people can have social connections, whether it's via social media. I've seen a lot of things of people playing sort of like interactive games on a Zoom type of format or things like that. Or even in your workplace, are you able to work with people if you are working in person that you can be social in some ways with that? Like, that's an important part, and that we don't need to write it off just because we have other things on our list to do.
I've seen people having coffee and then they go to a parking lot and have their cars like this, and then they like put their windows down and talk to each other. I was like, wow. And I'm thinking that person's like me. That person needs like, I need to see a human face that isn't in my family. Because I think, wow, we need the social piece. We're like, if I see one more person in my family, in my immediate family that lives in my house, I'm probably going to poke my eyeballs out. Like, ah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one, do you have spiritual for the next one?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not necessarily religion. A lot of people go and like close up to that one. So it could be like yoga and meditation. I'm good at the strength part of yoga, terrible at meditation or mindfulness because I have squirrels in my brain. My spiritual piece, I always joke, is yard sales and thrift stores. That's what fuels. It's anything that fuels your spirit.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, that is being out in nature. So I like being, whether I'm going to the beach, going for a walk in the woods, you know, even spending time with my animals, my pets at home, like that fuels that for me as well. So for some people, that is their religion, that is their church community, all of those things, you know, recognizing that like you need to connect with that part of yourself, I think is a really big piece that, again, people often overlook.
Yes, right. Exactly. So nutrition, we could do quickly. Do you have nutrition too?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That one I usually talk about in the physical piece is that when you eat good food, you feel good. And when you eat bad food, you feel bad. I mean, that, and it's hard when you're not taking care of yourself. A lot of times I go into schools and people haven't like packed their own lunches because they packed lunches for others, but they didn't have time. So they like order out and then they keep ordering out. And when you have so many chicken fingers or steak and cheese subs or cheeseburger subs or pizza for lunch, it starts to catch up with you.
Right. And then the same with that is, you know, making sure that we're drinking lots and lots of water. I think especially a lot of us, myself included, are fueled by a lot of caffeine. And sometimes we will drink the coffee before we drink our water. And I think that's a big piece too, is making sure that we are actually drinking enough water throughout the day.
Yes, and coffee is dehydrating. So
yes. So 80% of adults are chronically dehydrated, I think, something.
Yes, it is 80%. And your body is made up of 80% water.
Yeah. So.
And if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Oh, there you go.
It's water.
Yeah. If you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
Yeah.
Because the salt content in your blood is already too low, high, whatever what it's supposed to be to make you thirsty.
You know, actually, I know that you mean that in a physical, literal sense, but I actually really like that as a sort of metaphor for a lot of this stuff. Is if you're feeling thirsty or if you're feeling burnt out and exhausted, you're already dehydrated. So if you're feeling these things, you are already maybe struggling and feeling with some of this stress and burnout thing. So I think that before you get thirsty, before you get exhausted beyond all belief, maybe there's a couple of pieces of this.
Drink your water.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Look at us. We're going to think on that. Katie and I are going to think on that. We're going to make a bumper sticker. It's gonna
I like it. I like it.
Okay.
All right. What do we got next, Meg? Intellectual. Yes. So that one,
That's the one I'm bad at.
What's that?
That's what I'm bad at.
Yeah.
Because I have a bookshelf of shame, right? I buy all the books everybody tells me to read. I read them. I get to like chapter 2, and then my squirrel's like, "Whoa!" and I do something else. So I have all the books. I have a container of books over there. I have books over here. I'm a article girl. So like, give me articles that are less than 20 pages that I can sit and read in one sitting. But it's like people who get up and do like the crossword puzzle, like the New York Times crossword puzzle or Sudoku, or like that doesn't fuel me at all. Makes me mad because I can't finish it and I feel dumb.
Yeah, for me, I'm one of those people. It's not crossword puzzles, but I'm a reader. So in the morning, I always reading something that's related to my job or something, and spending a little bit, even 20 minutes in the morning, reading a chapter or something that fuels me so much. And the other thing too is whether at different times where you have less time to read or you're squirrely and don't have the attention span to read, podcasts for me have been a really great thing. Like in the car, going to work, going to different places where I can learn about something. And sometimes it's like totally unrelated to something that I thought that I would want to know about, and it just kind of broadening your interest. And because otherwise we get stuck in this, kind of just hamster wheel feeling, and that we're not really feeling fulfilled because our brains aren't being like stretched and learning about different things. We need that.
The podcast that I've just recently, because I'm a behavior person, I really like to know how the brain works. So I watched a lot of stuff on Scientology, and I didn't think I would ever be interested because the religion piece doesn't fill my spiritual bucket. And then I was like hooked, and I was trying to find all the Scientology pieces because I was like, wow, how that people's brains work that do and don't believe in that. I was so interested. So I would do it in the morning I would listen on my way to and from, right, traveling a lot. I would listen to Scientology stuff, where I've never wanted to be a Scientologist. I just think the way the brain works is so interesting, and that is a good example of how the brain can fool you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I didn't think I'd be interested, but I was so interested. And now I'm on to something else, right? My brain's already done with that now.
Yes, next topic.
Yeah, we've moved on.
Yes.
And the last one is the one that I think when we talk about irritability and is that emotional bucket. Is right, the relationships sometimes that go by the wayside, right? Are we being loved the way we need to be loved with love languages, right? If you're touched, are you getting the hugs and snuggles you need? If you're not touched, are you getting too many, right? If you're a parent who is not touched by love language, meaning you need snuggles and holding hands and hugs to be fueled, and you're not one of those people, but you're spending all this time with your children who are, at some point you're like, time out, I need to go be by myself where nobody touches me. And I just like, oh, get away. But you can't, but you have to give it to your kids. So you're constantly putting yourself second, right? But for me, it's that relationship piece. When you get tired, when you get irritable, when you're not taking care of yourself, relationships suffer, even if you don't want them to, even if you don't mean to have them do that. And a relationship is your best behavior strategy, is your best strategy in, I'm having a hard time, I don't know what to do, I'm in this place where maybe my brain feels harder than it is or more challenged. Relationships is a good strategy for that. Absolutely. But if we are really hard, our behavior's really hard as a kid or as an adult, someone's not going to come to you, right, when you're feeling like that.
Right, and so I think...
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think often is, if we're, especially when we're talking about like caregivers, whether it's in your home life or in your work life, that you're acting as a caregiver, that when you're feeling this fatigue, that you can start to kind of look at the people that you're caregiving for as like the cause for some of the issues that you're experiencing. And so we're even distancing ourselves further in the relationship. And like anything that's gonna, there's great trainer in our area, Charlie Appleseed, who says, anything that you do that will distance yourself between you and a child is the wrong thing to do. And so I think that's true for like anyone, like emotionally distant. So anything that you're going to do that's going to like cause like distance is going to backpedal that relationship. And I think it's going to decrease your level of emotional well-being, like, because we as caregivers, that those types of decisions we're going to live with those decisions, and those things are hard for us. I think as the nurturing, loving people of the world, that when we are not acting our best selves and we say something or do something that causes distance between ourselves and a child or a loved one, we're paying the consequences for when we do that. And that's definitely an area of caution, I think.
Yeah, and we're people pleasers too, right? When we are in this field, we're people pleasers, so we want to please everybody. And then when we find out that our behavior is upsetting people, then we want to fix it, but we don't know how to get there, right? Like this is, right, we came full circle. So how we're going to get there is we were crossing our fingers. Now, hopefully that people can start using this wheel of wellness. And if you go to Google, just like Katie did and I did, when we first learned about this, is you just put wheel of wellness.
Yeah.
Or wellness wheel, and you'll get 5,000 pages.
Yes, exactly. And I should just note too, there's like several versions of this that exist. Yeah. Some of them have 6 pieces, some of them have 8 pieces, some of them, and there are some things that apply to kids and adults, some that only apply to adults. So there's a lot of good stuff. And there's even some great resources that you can easily find on Google for like to do a little assessment. If you're one of those people that likes to kind of see how I'm doing in these areas, you can do little assessments and stuff. So our goal today was to kind of bring light to some of the importance of self-care and some ways that we can approach self-care in a sort of not very daunting, accessible way. So we hope that we've shared some of those with you. Yeah. And so thanks everybody for, watching this. And it was really nice. Thanks, Meg, for talking with me about it.
Yeah, sure thing. I enjoyed it.
Yes, so you could check us out at the Dover Mental Health Alliance, also me at the YMCA in Strafford County. And Meg, where can we find information for you? Thank you.
So you could go to my website at meggthompson.com. So Megg has 2 G's just to make it hard, and Thompson has a P, so THOMPSON. I'm also on, of course, social media, because that's my social piece of my wellness wheel. Facebook is Megg Thompson Behavior Consulting, and Instagram is Megg Thompson Behavior. And I have a lot of, I do a lot of free workshops. I give away at least 1 free workshop a week. I know that everybody is looking for professional development hours, and fun, interesting ones that are not. I think in this field do a lot of boring ones. We have to we have to watch a lot of ones that maybe don't meet our needs. I also do a lot of like videos and stuff to give people like different love-based strategies for substituting those fear-based ones like sticker charts and token boards and stuff. So that's where you can find me. And thank you, Katie, for inviting me. This was wonderful. I hope that people watch it and they see it as not so scary.
Right. Anybody?
And that now that, right, we all think we have this compassion fatigue problem. And now, like, the wellness wheel is a great place to start. And it's not daunting, like you said. It's like an easy thing to look up, to check out, to work on, right? Even if you're working on 1 bucket at a time, that's great.
Right. And sometimes that's the way that works, and yeah. That's wonderful. So thank you again, and happy Mental Health Awareness Month, everybody. Share this with a friend. It's important to talk about. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So
that is true.
Yes, and this filled my bucket because I got to talk to my friend Megg today. So
mine too.
Yes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.